And I was born January 22nd, 1931, and that makes me about 80 years old.
Okay.
And I graduated from Old Fort High School, and this young lady next to me drugged me to Elmore.
She drugged you up, huh?
Yeah. And we built a home here in Elmore and have lived here ever since.
Well, great.
And I was the mayor of the town for 12 years.
Between what years?
You remember?
About 1980, 79 or 91.
Something like that.
Okay.
And I was manager of the grain elevator here in town until I retired.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a lot of farm work as well, custom farm work out in the area. Spent 32 years as a custom applicator, causing people to get rid of all their diseases and insects and what have you.
Fire department.
Yeah, I was on the fire department for 14 years, and Board of Public Affairs for 4 years, mayor for 12.
Anything that you saw as a fireman that was a big deal in town that was larger than most?
I missed the big one.
Did you?
Yeah, I hadn't got over here just then yet.
What was that?
Which one?
When the hardware burnt.
The Elmore Hardware brand, yeah.
You probably got something on that already.
A little bit. Yes, a little
Okay.
bit.
You might mention that the EMS was all, I mean, they didn't have an EMS in those days, and the fire department acted as a EMS as well. We got into a couple nasty accidents on that.
Yes.
Auto accidents?
Yes, on the
Yes.
turnpike. Don't want to ever see another one of those.
No, I can't imagine.
It was one of my first trips out too. And also, we, a member of our Sunday school, we met on Sunday morning in church, and the Bob Moxick was, and his wife and family were there that morning, and she said, you know, I think I'm not going to church today. And Bob says, I don't care what you do, but I and the boys are going. Guess who I found out there at that wreck?
Was it the next day or something?
Yeah, it was the next day.
Wow.
And that was nasty too, because, well, he was a distant cousin of hers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was real sad with him and the boys got killed right there.
Sure. Well, how about the Board of Public Affairs? How about the services that have gone over the years? Have they changed a lot since your time
Yeah,
in the
they've
board?
done a lot of improving things, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good going system, really, what we have here. We're going to have to do some upgrading pretty soon with the sewer plant.
Sure.
Basically, you know,
You got involved with the Amp Ohio.
yes, that was during my term.
Was that
I-
the Board of Public
Yes.
Affairs or mayor?
I was mayor. One of my Board of Public Affairs persons was able to cover for me the day they had this special meeting. I had another one someplace else, and I asked him, I said, would you attend that meeting? And it was Bob Fader, in case you run into that one. And he went to the meeting and he came back and he says, I don't know if you'll be happy with what I did. I says, what do you mean? He says, there's 10 communities of us went together and decided to form our own electric operation. And he says, I put up $1,000 as our down payment. And I said, well, do you think it's gonna work? And he says, well, I certainly hope so. Well, he became one of our representatives for that board
Great.
for I don't know how many years. And it's really going great. In
Yeah.
fact, we're buying the plant in Fremont right now.
So you've kept up with it. You've kept your ear to the ground on what's going on
Yes,
with it.
I know what's going on.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
But, I had to thank Bob for standing in for me. that
Sure.
time.
Well, and
Yeah.
while you're talking about things that went on while you were mayor, why don't you tell what your display pieces that we have
Oh,
here?
okay. Might tell quite a bit on that, right?
Well, it does, but they won't be able to read it very well on
Okay.
camera. I'll put the photo up there as soon as you've
Oh, okay.
told the story.
We had, there's, our sister city to Toledo is Toledo, Spain. And one of our local teachers, Bob, oh, my,
Eichel.
Bob Eichel?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Bob Eichel, got a group together, and between Toledo, Spain and here, they had a group of kids came over here. And Doug DeGood was the mayor of Toledo at the time. He was here. The mayor of Woodville was here, and I was here. And those kids brought this sword to me and one to the mayor of Woodville. And a book on Toledo, Spain. We went to Toledo, Ohio.
Saved you. Mhm.
The mayor was over there. We all met here in the auditorium. And we had a very interesting get-together with that day. And when they gave us these, I was real pleased. In fact, they had spent a little time here in the library. And anytime it wants to come back for a while, it can.
Wow. That's a generous offer.
Okay.
Can you hold it up?
Yeah, you hold
Sure.
that up.
Is that the way you
And
want it?
what did we decide the plaque said?
From the city of Toledo, Spain, to the village of Elmore.
Here's the photograph of the acceptance.
I don't know, John read it.
You could tell a date would be in English.
You think?
Yeah.
1x80. Yes, I believe that's what it is, isn't it?
Probably the 9th month.
Let's turn it on so you can see it better.
Yeah. It's the ninth month of 1980. So September of 80.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Well, Ethel, would you like to start on your family history? We'll go back to what we were talking about before.
Well, the Damshaughters were married in Toledo, and they lived there until their second child was born. And then they bought the farm out along Sugar Creek, along what they called the Turnpike in those days, the Maumee Western Road.
About what year was that?
The land was bought in 1841 or 42, I can't remember which, and they came out in 1844. and established their home there. I've got a picture of the old homestead, but I don't know if they built it or if it was already there. And then that was my great-grandparents.
And do you have that picture with you of the old homestead?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sorry.
More
Oh, you
albums.
have a lot.
I
So.
think I have it.
Okay. So it is available.
Oh, if you get the Dam Shutter history out, it's in there.
Okay.
It's online.
Okay. It's also
Oh,
online.
Okay. And the Dam Shutter store was established there in 1861 by my grandfather. And I had a picture of the old store building too. That might be in there. But most of the clientele were coming from the Elmore area, so about 1864 or 65 they moved into Elmore, and they were in the old Elmore house at first, and then they moved across the street down on the corner where the flower shop is now.
Mhm.
There's an old building there it was torn down about 1938, and there was a gas station put there in place of it. And then they moved across the street. I don't know just exactly where, until they built the building that stands now. And that was in the 1880s, and then I sold out in 1st of January 1993. It was 3 generations. My grandfather owned it until 1909 when he retired, and then my uncle John Damschroeder and his cousin Elmer Damschroeder ran it till 1920 when my uncle's health gave way, and then my father took it over in 1920. And he ran it until he died in 1934, and then my mother took it over, ran till 1979, and I took it over till 1993 when I sold it out and retired.
Well, the comment I hear the most about that store is that they had everything.
Well, if you look at the pictures.
And I know you have some photos. Would you
Yes,
like to
yes.
pick out some photos that I can take in front of the camera there? And anything that pops into your mind as you're going through those. One of the
Actually,
first
no,
things I
wanna-
saw that was real obvious was you carried clothing.
Yes. Originally, the store was a general store. They would take in, like, the farmers had potatoes or butter or cream, produce,
Sure.
and then they also had the back room was groceries, and the upstairs was menswear and carpeting, linoleum, curtains, and that type of thing. And then
Your mom said
in
her shoes.
1926, they got rid of the groceries and
Okay.
went just strictly with dry goods.
Sure.
And what did you
Your mom
Shoes,
said
I
the
think you
shoes
said.
were back
Oh,
there.
yeah, they did have shoes too.
There we go.
Yeah. Here we are. Okay. Well, that isn't all of them. Here we are.
Okay, you tell me which ones are the ones that we should see and why we should see them.
Well, this is the front of the store where you come in.
Okay. A little hard to get these focused and full, but most of these are available. Well, actually, you can see this one in town. Still, the building's there.
That one shows the clothing. Here we have, this was where the cash drawer was, and there's gift wrap paper, there's crochet books, there's Back here, there's lace and yard goods and buttons. And on back, this is where the office was up there. This is clothing over here. This is all I wanted. That was taken from the office mezzanine down towards the front of the store.
Yeah, if you have a picture of one of the stairwell,
Yeah.
so
right here.
anyone who hasn't seen the
There's
inside
the-
could
there's
relate. This is taken from the stairwell.
Yeah.
The mezzanine, you called it?
Yeah, I guess I called it that.
Secretary's desk.
Well, but it would be a mezzanine of types. It's as much a mezzanine as anyone else's.
Yeah, it's halfway
Just
up
a small one.
halfway up the stairs.
Sure. This is the stairwell to the office.
Yes, and this is the where you go up the stairs here.
That's
the
the
safe
rail.
was down in
Sure.
there, and that
The
was
safe
an
is still there,
old-
isn't it?
I thought the last time I looked it was gone.
Well, maybe I'm mistaken on that. I thought the safe was still in there.
We haven't been
But
in
this
there
is
for a
the
while.
upstairs.
haven't been
And the poster is
That's a very old, apparently valuable poster or advertising for Arrow collars.
Arrow, yes.
That picture appeared in the Cleveland Plain Dealer before I went out of business, and I don't know how many people from Cleveland called me and wanted to buy that poster. I don't know how much they were willing to pay, but my son said he wanted it,
Yeah.
and he got it.
This one's loose yet.
Oh, okay. It's down here.
She even had somebody want to buy that stairway when she
It's
went out.
beautiful.
Yeah.
She says, well, how do they get there? Well, that's your problem.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
my problem. Well, no, it ain't.
Yeah, and anyone who's looking at these photos and listening to this video, this building and the stairwell and a lot of the remnants of the store, at least the building parts of it, are still in existence down on Rice Street, so they should take a trip up and take a look.
Yeah. A lot of it is.
Yeah, even, I don't know exactly what they're for, but even some of the mechanicals that held things upstairs,
Yeah.
looks like maybe carpets were on them.
Yes, they're still up there. I didn't have any use for them, so
Sure.
I mean, we just
Sure. Yeah, what are you gonna do, dry
left
sheets
them
on?
there. Yeah. This one's Cookie Dam Shorter. He's a cousin.
Okay.
There, that's when we were selling out. The people they were behind the counters and all
Oh,
over.
yes.
And a lot of the stuff had already disappeared. The yard goods is over
Sure.
here. That's a different view. I don't know.
I hope this photograph translates well. There's a lot of people in this photo, and
Yeah.
I believe she said the person in the foreground is Cookie Dam Shorter.
Yeah. His right name is Wilson, but nobody ever knew him by that, I don't think.
We don't get to pick our own names.
Leo laughed and said he liked Cookie better. Now this is at the end where they're taking out the glass showcases back here.
Yes.
Uh,
Upstairs.
No, this
No?
is
Oh,
down.
that is
here's
downstairs,
the
yes.
stairway right here.
Sure.
And there was one here and one down the two steps, and then there was two more up front.
Okay.
Those two Charlie Reimers got. Charlie and Charlie Dybert were
Yeah.
good friends, and they were removing them.
We're inside the store again. This is the stairwell. Taking out glass cases.
The Historical Society's got one or so over there too.
Here, this I don't know if any of these might be better. Here they're bringing one of the upstairs
Yeah,
cases
that's nice.
down
Yes.
down the stairs.
Looks like it was a lot of work going out of business here.
Oh, yeah, it
A lot of
was.
years in the building. Okay, that ought to do her for the photos
Okay,
and
now here, there's, should be one more
the.
here.
Okay.
There.
Oh, after.
The end. This is how Rick Clare got it. All the showcases and the counters and
This is personally my favorite. That's my favorite part of the building. Nooks, crannies, shelves, drawers.
Yeah.
It must have held thousands of things.
and this one is probably also good because it had showed where the showcases and the counters were.
Some customers had to go down the street sideways, or down the aisles.
That was looking toward the front. I'm gonna figure out how to put this back in. Because I don't want to get a stack of photos here that I can't.
Sure.
This one goes here. Okay,
Okay.
going back.
Let's go back to possibly your school years. Can
Okay.
you tell us any stories about school?
Well, my father died when I was 4 years old, and my mother couldn't get a good housekeeper babysitter to take care of me. She couldn't go to the store and work and
And
take care of me.
where did you live at that time?
On Huron Street. My father and mother built the house. I don't even know who lives there now. It's on Huron Street, right in the middle of the street there, right in the middle of the block. They built it in 1931, and when he died, then my mother had to go to work, and so my aunt lived out on the farm across from the Bethel Church, and so she said, well, bring her out to the farm, we'll take care of her. She had 2 grown children, and so they decided they could look after me out there. So I started to school going on the school bus. And a lot of people do not remember this, but the school buses when I went to school were black wood bodies. And the seats, instead of being facing front, they were long
Almost like a
benches
trolley.
under the windows. You sat with your back to the windows, and then there was a bench in the middle, and you had to kind of crisscross your feet. I remember that. And, so for a couple of years, I went to school on the old black school bus. I thought that was sort of neat because he looks at me kind of strange and says, "Really?"
That is interesting, though.
We thought all school buses were yellow. And then, of course, as I got older, I could kind of take care of myself, and I came back and lived in town with my mother and went to school, walked to school every day. Nobody took you. You walked to school every day.
What were you involved in school?
Oh, let's see. Well, one of the things that I remember about 3rd grade, we were taken by school bus up to the Toledo Art Museum. That was one of the things I really liked. And for some reason or other, I got to go 2 years in a row. I don't know why, but I did. And most of them just got, one trip was it. And I always liked that art museum. I thought that was so neat. And I always thought someday I'd like to be able to paint. And when we retired, we spent one winter in Arizona, and they had a big complex there that, well, you could do crafts of all kinds, wood carving, and a lady was giving painting lessons, and I took painting lessons, and I painted for about 12 years.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed that. I don't do it much anymore because I don't have any incentive. When I was doing it in the parks where we stayed, we had a RV, so we stayed in a mobile park, and we had different teachers each time. Sometimes we'd have a oil painting teacher, sometimes water painting teacher. and I did ceramics also here in Elmore, and I also did Portage Painters with Esther James. I did several summers with her, and I enjoyed that. And it was incentive to every Thursday you pack up your stuff and go and paint. And so, well, as long as I was doing that or I was teaching a class down south, I did painting, and I really enjoyed it. And I discovered in genealogy that we had a famous Damschroeder Dutch painter back in the 1800s. So I don't know, maybe there was some artistry inherited, I don't know.
Could be.
But that was one of the I always liked the art museum. And when I was in 5th grade, my mother took me on a trip to California. It was a Ohio farmer tour, 3 weeks we were gone. And in February, when school was on, and I was told I could go if I had my work all done ahead of time. Not behind, but ahead of time. So I worked like a Trojan to get that done so I could go. And it was a really lovely, lovely trip. I mean, we went to Carlsbad Caverns, Grand Canyon, Los Angeles, San Diego, Catalina Island, San Francisco, Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City. On the 28th day of February, I stuck my feet in Great Salt Lake. I remember that. It was kind of chilly, but I wanted to get my feet in Salt Lake. So we did. And we went by train. Those days you didn't go by air as much. Now it was all Pullman train.
Sure.
So that was a great adventure. And then, let's see, well, what else are some of the highlights?
You have any special teachers that you...
Well, Maddie Heckman, the lady that lived in the log house, she was my 3rd grade teacher. My 1st grade teacher was Miss Beckman. 2nd grade teacher was Grace Myers. 3rd grade was Maddie Heckman. 4th grade was Mildred Reynolds Rutherford. 5th grade was Edith Shalosky. 6th grade was Lucille Baker Gordon. She just passed away this last month or two. She was she even kept up with our class. We still have class luncheons, and she would come to our class luncheons now and then and come to the alumni banquet because she was an Elmore alumnus as well as being our teacher.
Sure.
So we kept in contact with her. And of course, Dora Coleman, I guess, had practically everybody in that age group.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Alvina Contact was our senior class advisor. And because we were in school during the war years, Mr. Hetrick was our chemistry and physics teacher. And I never felt that was really his strong suit because he had a little trouble. We'd ask questions and he couldn't answer them always. We'd have to work them out.
There was probably a lot of
Yeah.
rotating of jobs
Yeah,
in those days.
a lot of the teachers came, and during the Depression, a married woman couldn't be a school teacher. They just gave the jobs to the single women, and so when the war broke out, a lot of the teachers went to the either into service or else into the war factory or the defense factories, and so they had to scrape the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, to try to get some teachers. And let's see who can we remember that had a school teacher's certificate. So Goldie Hastings came back, and Velda James came back, and Laurel Damschroeder came back, and just a lot of the older women that had families already, but they were still good teachers, and they had to come back during the war years to fill in.
Sure. And how about uptown, during your young years? What was there then?
Boy. Well, I could go down the
Well, you do
street
that.
if I had a picture here somewhere.
Well,
Well-
start with the brew. What's the brew now?
Start on that side. Okay. A.J. Weiss had a grocery store on that corner when I was young. And in the wintertime, they had Weiss Neeb had a butcher shop out in the old one-room schoolhouse next to the Bethel Church, across the road from where I was raised. And I used to like to go over there and watch them make sausage, and they smoked hams and bacon, and they rendered lard, and they, well, just butchered the hogs and hung them up and cut them up, and I loved to watch them do that. Well, I was just a little girl, I didn't think anything about that. That was just the way they did things. And then they sold those products at A.J. Weiss's store in this wintertime when they didn't have big freezers and everything. Now they just cooled it by the temperature of the weather when it was cold in the wintertime. And so then later, let's see, Louis had a television shop in there, television and electronics.
Did you say his name was Breezy Went? That's
Louis
Louis.
was his name.
Oh, okay.
They called him Breezy.
Breezy.
That was so easy to remember that way. Then Bob Long and who was in with him? They had a store in there too. I think they got into plumbing. And then let's see who else was in there. Can't just remember
Oh, is this
everybody.
your store?
No, not on the corner.
Oh, you were talking about what was all in that place.
Yeah.
Oh.
What was in there when you came to town?
Louis went.
Louis went. Okay.
Remember, he sold his.
Yeah, well, that's right.
our
He
first
sold us our
television.
first television. Yeah. But who was in there after Bob Long and?
Max Reynolds.
Oh yeah, Max Reynolds was in the back. He had a plumbing shop back there. And, let's see. Then the next building was the snack bar. Actually, it was originally a tailor shop when I was young, real young, and then.
Can you tell us? We ran across a photo that said Snack Bar. Can you tell me what that was? Did you say Snack Bar?
Snack bar.
Snack Bar. Sorry.
Bob Schroeder and his brother-in-law, Ethel Longnecker, the two families went together and had a snack bar, and it's kind of a hangout for the young kids after school.
Sure.
And they had ice cream and that type of stuff, as well as sandwiches, and that Longneckers ran it quite some time. I don't know just when they did move out of there.
It was after we were here a while.
Yeah. And then next was the Elmore Hardware. It was Kroger's originally when I was young, and then Bill Contact had Elmore Hardware in there after the old one burned out. He moved over into that building, and then Myron Helwig took it over after Contacts. Then Jay took it over, and then the building was sold, I guess, to Joanne Price. She bought the three buildings there together. And then let's see what's the next building.
Well, you don't have to tell every building. Restaurants. How many times did that change over? Was it a lot?
Well, the Portage Inn across the street where it is now, that was originally Hanky House's sort of dry goods store. He had a wagon on the road that went out to the surrounding area and sold groceries and things, household items to the farm people. And then it was made into the Portage Inn. Marvin Lower owned that. And seems to me like maybe Bill Fredericks was in there for a little while, ran it. And then let's see who else.
You're getting pretty close to John taking over there.
Who? Bill Pauley. Bob Pauley. I mean, Bob and Mitzi Pauley took it over. And
John's folks was in there somewhere.
they were in the restaurant business.
No,
She's
not the
asking
restaurant.
about
Oh,
restaurants.
Okay.
Then where the pizza place is now, that was called the Welcome Inn Restaurant when I was young. Elmer Damshoter and his family ran that for quite some time. And then Al
Was that a bus
Depker.
stop too?
Pardon?
The Welcome Inn, was it a bus stop
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
Okay.
Al Depker was in there. Alan Ada Depker. And then they sold out to Bob Pauley's mother-in-law, Mrs. Wagner. She ran the restaurant for a while. And did it go into pizza? I don't remember. There was 5 years that we were in Greenspring, that we lived in Greensprings, and some things happened while I was gone, and I don't just remember dates. But anyway, see, was there any other restaurants in town? Oh, the half of the bank building was Mrs. Guthrie's restaurant when I was young. It was sort of a soda fountain. And then
They had a bakery
Frank-
shop in there for a little while.
Frank and Elma Barnes took it over, I think, from Mrs. Guthrie when she retired. And then I guess it went to the bank. Any other
Well,
restaurants?
that gives us a pretty good idea of the buildings. Do you remember, I'm sorry, did you want to say something, Leland?
Well, I don't know how true it is, but some of the older ones tell me that Tanks originally, they had a store back on this side. You know where it's at, probably.
I've seen photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
The alley down back there behind them, that's where they slaughtered the hogs and stuff.
I'm sure.
That's what they said years ago, and
Well, things
yeah.
are not what they are now.
No, they didn't have their.
No.
Well, there used to be a horse and buggy
refrigeration.
setting down the way here. A little lady outside of town, men on Ibis here again.
Yeah, there's a hitching post on Clinton Street there. What used to be the garage. George Weiss had a terraplane business in there. Hudson Terraplanes, was that what they were? A car dealership. And then several different mechanics went in there and had auto repair. Lincoln Dam Shutter was one. And then that went, I guess, to Elmore Manufacturing, right? In that building now. And then there was a lumber yard back there too.
Yeah.
And then I remember when Branson Troutman built the corner building there for the locker plant. It had been an old warehouse type building. My uncle George Peter was a carpenter, and he kept his carpenter tools and his car in that kind of warehouse building that they tore down and made the locker plant.
Well, before we move into the events, why don't we talk a little bit about how you and Leyland met
Well,
and your family?
that was one of my good girlfriends, classmate, Ellen Kerbel, was dating Earl Weicker from Green Springs, and Earl was his neighbor, and they decided that we ought to get together, so they brought him up and introduced him to me, and the rest is history, I guess.
And your version is?
Well, I tell most people I got caught out one night without my cane.
Is that it? Because she was so pretty, you had to beat her off with a stick. Is that? I see.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, and
gosh.
those two that got us together are both deceased.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the names we like to hear, brought up so that people can reminisce about things that were in the past or find their relatives living in a certain time period. Well, let's move into the events then. Some of your photos or
Okay, let's see. This was the store. I don't know if you want that one or not, but that's how it looked the day, July 23rd, 1984, when the hail hit everything
Well, gee,
and
let's
wiped all the crops out.
Yeah.
That was a field full of pickles.
yeah,
Or-
why don't you hand them both to me and I'll get those.
There's the corn's all stripped.
What year did you say that was again?
I think 84.
84?
No, 88. 88. It was a good thing I looked. Yeah, that's go out here on the follow the Portage River Road.
Go ahead and give me the pickle field too and I'll put them both.
Okay.
There was
I'm sorry.
hail
You go out.
It was hail piled up pretty near knee deep in places.
Yeah.
And you follow the old Portage River out?
Yeah, and this is well, at the time it was Cedarloff Farm, and now Jane Cedarloff. What's her married name? Kratzer.
Yeah. Last I knew.
That's her farm.
A hailstorm, 1988.
July 23rd.
July 23rd.
I
It
actually
looks
wrote
like
the
a
date on
winter.
that.
It looks like a winter
It
photo.
looks like winter in the middle of July, yes.
Pretty much flattened that field, didn't it?
Yeah.
Gary Bach and I worked together for a while over here. Gary had crops out at home as well. But him and I took a load of feed up at Toledo and we made horse feed at the elevator. And we got up there okay and unloaded, came back. Gary looked out and he said, "What's the matter with those soybeans? They're just like, it was strange looking." Got down the road a ways further and I says, "I know what's the matter. The hail was starting to build up." We got to Genoa and there it was really piled up and we come clear on into Elmore
Wow.
and Gary lost all his crops for that summer.
And they probably didn't have insurance for that back then, did
He
they?
had a little bit,
Did
but
they? Yeah.
nothing like what he should have
There's
had.
about, they said what, about a 10-mile circle that took in Genoa and Woodville and Elmore and this area that it just wiped everything out.
Yeah.
They put the Leyland elevator company out of business altogether.
Oh, really? And where is that located?
Well, part of it was here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be Lindsay and Elmore. Is that
Yeah,
what the Lindmore?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's how we got out
here's
of
the
it.
ones from the,
Business of.
they're taking the front end loader and knocking the old blacksmith shop down. This is how it looked to begin
And that's
with.
where the fire
Fire
station
station
is.
is now, yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, this is a parking lot. The fire station's
okay.
across the tracks.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want all
Yeah.
of
Let
those
me.
or
Let me. Just.
There, they're
put
burning it.
those up. Oh.
probably want the original. On the corner of Rice and Maple Street. This is the bowling alley over here now. Whoops, got two there.
Yeah, you got both of those. This was the blacksmith shop.
Yeah.
Do you know who owned it?
Ed Stryford.
Okay.
I don't know if you want these where it's being pushed down.
Sure. Sure, let me throw that one in there quick.
And there it's down.
Okay. Yeah, they're trying to demolish it. And here they've accomplished it. Thank you.
There's,
The fire is, they're burning what's
the-
left?
what's
Yeah,
left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire department drill.
That. It says fall 1981 if you want a date on it.
Okay, fall 1981.
Yeah.
Taking the blacksmith shop down.
This one's here. And then this is where they're groundbreaking for the fire station. You can see in the background
Sure.
where the
Oh, yes, you can.
rubble still
The
is.
rubble from the
Yeah,
blacksmith shop is still in the background.
yeah. I don't know, do you want the people's names? It's on the back
Oh,
there.
gosh, that would be nice. We'll show this again. This photo. And it looks like the names are Jean Michael, Jerry Beck, Howard James, and I've got one missing, but
I'm not we weren't real sure who that was.
sure. Well, we got part of it.
Maybe
Howard
somebody,
James and
somebody will
Jerry,
tell you someday.
Yeah.
Somebody will.
Howard James and Jerry Beck were township trustees, weren't they?
Okay.
And Jean Michael was the fire EMS chief.
Chief,
Okay.
yeah.
And we got that picture, so we don't need those. Throw that down that way, get rid of. We can get rid of this one. I think. Oh no, we can't. This is building the fire station. I didn't take these pictures. Mel Owen took them. I don't know if you want some of those or not.
Well, actually, they probably have the picture, plus they can see the fire station, it's still there, so we'll pass over those photos.
Okay. And this is Hands Across America.
Okay.
Now I don't know how many of those you want.
Oh, a couple of the
They-
people
they
holding
lined-
hands. Yes, everybody lined across America.
Yeah, these were the school cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be fun to get the picture in there. Are there names on the back, possibly?
I don't think so.
Okay. Nope.
No.
So one of actually all across America, people were lined up holding hands, and the purpose of that was hunger. Was that what it was?
I don't really remember, but I know.
I think it was communities getting together as the whole United States did it.
Yeah, you're right. It was the whole United States.
This one I know who some of them are. There's Burl Whitty, and Mary is behind that lady there. I'm there. Cork and Julie Murray there. I don't know who that other one was, but I know a couple people on there. This shows them all down the street. And here, they're going down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
There's the old high-speed gas station. What was in there? Oh, the dairy bar was in there then.
Well, let's use that one to give us a picture of two things at once.
Yeah, the Emke sisters ran that for a while. Steve Hart, I think, started it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, did you say dairy barn?
Dairy Bar.
Dairy Bar, sorry. And it's still Hands Across America.
Yeah. Do you want another one or just those
Oh, no,
two?
that's fine. That's fine. And since that came before the, let's see what you remember about the blizzard of 78, because this would have been,
Oh, well, I've got
well, we
pictures
don't
of
want to
that.
skip, maybe we should go to the bicentennial first, because that would be 76.
Okay.
Then we'll go to the blizzard.
You can see I just got gobs of pictures. Just
I-
name a subject and I
yeah.
can produce it.
We'll have to get you to let us get those scanned. Or at least some of them.
There, that one's gone. 76. This is 76. No,
It says 80 to 86. 75 to 80 there.
here we are.
Should have about 3 or 4 minutes. 5?
Here's my Pride and Joy Mothers Club, all dressed up in our costumes for. And then this is the wagon train that went through on May 29th.
And why did the wagon train go through on the 29th? Where were they headed?
It was going
Just-
out west.
Yeah, they were headed cross country. I think
That
they
was cross
started on
country.
one
They
coast and
just
went to
came
the
through
other
here.
coast.
It was just a bicentennial celebration
Yeah.
of what they
Yeah.
were.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we can see what was in Mayberry
Sure.
Tire there. That was the old telephone building years
Okay.
ago.
Do I have to lift the book to use the book? Or
I don't know if you read them out or not. Some of them are stuck.
now is that the wagon train you were talking about, or is that
Yeah, that's
something?
the wagon
okay,
train.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. And that one. These are probably about the best two pictures.
That's the wagon train. It's hard to get the print in the background.
Let's see if I have these parade pictures, then I can figure out which
Which
who was
buildings
in
were
which
where?
buildings.
Sure.
Because over the years, a lot of people have been in different buildings.
We have some of
like I
the
said, that's
Bicentennial Parade online too
Okay.
that Georgie gave us.
We're going to continue on with some of the bicentennial here, and we have the Pride and Joy Mothers Club.
Pride and
and-
Joy Mothers Club, dressed in their bicentennial finery. Georgie Huizenga, Ethel Rutherford, Nancy Widener, Marion May, and Sue Sandstrom.
And then we have a second group.
Lois Liskey, Merlin Schneider, Carol Bach, Harriet Herbright, Marilyn Hack, and Marilyn Helwig.
Okay. Okay, and we have other photos of the bicentennial online that people can refer to as well.
Oh, okay. I mean, like I said, this was the church service on Sunday, or on July 4th. I guess it was on a Sunday, I don't know. And these are the picnic out in front. There was the sack race. There was Leon Weiss and Michael. And then these were my store window decorations for the bicentennial. That was an old bookshelf that my mother had, an old tablecloth and some old dishes. And the old store clock. That was my great grandmother's dress. And my aunt's quilt. My reed doll, or they call reed doll buggy, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
There I am in my great grandmother's dress. And then these are the bicentennial parade.
Sure.
So
And your float was? Do you have a picture of the float that you were
Got the one
involved
I
in?
got,
no.
the one I ate.
Well, I was taking the pictures.
Oh, okay.
This is the Lindmore floater driven by Leyland, Rutherford.
Okay,
And there's the Pride and Joy float.
okay. Let me
wanna
have
put-
both of those so I can.
Maybe you want to put this next to the women
Sure,
that were
sure.
dressed up. That was the Pride and Joy Mothers Club float.
Sure, you can even see that on the float. Looks like a cake. And Leland's driving this?
Yes.
Yeah, just got it.
Oh my. Looks expensive.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and their community chorus. Bank of Elmore float. That's big. Bank of Elmore too, I guess. I must have had two. This was the St. Paul Trinity Church. There's a model of the new shelter house they were building. There's Pete
Yeah,
Willett.
let's show
with,
that picture of Pete. That's probably one of the most popular photos of the bicentennial parade. And now, where did he live?
He lives out on Portage Slimmer Road.
Mm-hmm.
He was Dr. Willett's son.
And did I understand that he was the one who shot off the fireworks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's what got him in trouble.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's where he got injured.
His father
Oh,
did it.
here's
I'm
the
sorry.
old Elmore car in the parade
Okay.
if you want that
All
one.
right.
The Ken and Carolyn Neeb.
The Elmore car.
Here, now, do you want any of the others, or is that
I would
enough?
think that's enough of the parade and the bicentennial. Everybody who lived in Ohio dealt with the blizzard of '78.
No,
Were you mayor at that time?
no.
No. Thank you. It was a good thing that you weren't.
Well, he was a serviceman for a while, and
Yeah, I plowed the streets out here and
they
everything
had
else.
an old tractor that they had a plow on the front, snow plow on the front of, and they went around and plowed all the streets with that old tractor. Didn't even have a cover over it.
Yeah, it had a cab.
Oh, did it have a cab? I didn't think it did.
Yeah.
Well, did you have photos of the blizzard of '78 or just
Yeah, I
just
did.
stories, experiences? That says 80, 82. This one says 80 to 86.
90s.
Maybe it was in the same one you just had?
Here's 89, 81.
75 to 80.
Yeah, I guess it'd be in that one. Here's graduation.
I was at the elevator when that happened, and nobody else could get to the elevator, but I and my two boys went with me, and they would answer the telephone, and I would be out running the grinders and stuff, and I knew every time a road opened up. That's
You'd
when
get
the
a truck.
people would start calling that, we need feed right now. My boys took care of that department, and I'd come in and grind and take it out and
Good
deliver.
there.
Wow.
That one's 78. And 77 should be back here too then, yeah. This one, I really got better pictures, I think, it's 77 than I did 78. Here it is. There, that was the end of the street. You could see the snow was banked as high as the
And
car.
I'm sorry, which street was that?
The end of Elm Street and
Okay.
Elmore East Road. That's
Okay.
Stanley Neeb's house. And then this one is out on 51. That's where Frank Gaxels live.
Okay. Oh, you can see it's the roof.
Yeah, it's a
And actually
Story and a
only the
half
peak.
house.
Oh my.
The turnpike was blocked up out here under the bridge over 590. And they had to get bulldozers in to bulldoze it out. And there was a lot of semis stuck out here. John Hollis had his store outside here. And the Methodist church took all those people in there. They brought them in on
Snowmobiles.
Snowmobiles. They brought them in. They cooked down there in the basement. There was a truck, a milk truck outside town here that was stuck in on the turnpike. And the guy got to John and he says, John was running out of milk and stuff. And he says, you go out and get all you want off of that truck.
Wow.
And they had babies around that needed milk and stuff.
Sure.
There's another one. Was Lyle Schneevert's house.
And this was 77 as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think. And that's out on 51.
Do you have any stories other than of your own personal? You know, I know everybody. You were at the elevator.
Yeah, I had to walk from
Did
home.
were you at the elevator before the snow?
The day before, yeah,
But not
We
after.
were
You had to
No.
get yourself there in the blizzard, in the snow.
They warned you to stay home, and he stayed home for a whole day. He didn't even go to work for the first day when it was really blue.
Okay.
And
but I had to wait up. I couldn't get out of the car or anything.
Yeah, and actually, things were worse out here where people needed feed and
Yeah.
and needed milk and didn't have stores closed. I lived in the town in Toledo when it happened, and it was a lot easier. I can tell from the things you're saying. It's a lot easier to get access to things there.
Yeah.
yeah, no, this is Stan Neeb's house in 78.
Okay.
That's the same house. See how the snow was just all rolled up, and that was the end. Here's another one at the end of Elm Street.
Let me have that one at the end of Elm Street, please. At the end of Elm Street and which road?
Elmore East.
Elmore East.
Fremont Street. Half of it's Fremont Street,
Yeah.
half of it's Elmore East.
And as a rather new person in town, that still confuses me.
What?
Oh, half of the street being one thing and half of it, like Rice, and I still don't know what the extension is for that.
Yeah, we should live in Florida. They stop in
I
the middle
did.
of the block and start something else.
I lived in Florida for 16 years.
You tell somebody they lived on such and such a street. Well, the sign on the end was a different street.
Yeah.
When we lived on Ohio Avenue, when we first built here, had stuff delivered. They'd come up here and ask people uptown where that was. That's over in Fremont.
They didn't know.
Yeah, when they say Ohio Avenue.
They'd send
Yeah.
it to Fremont.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay. Well,
all these
let's.
were graduations for my kids.
I know you have pictures of the log cabin.
Yeah.
Taking it down and rebuilding it.
That
Yeah.
one, I think we haven't got to that one yet. Well, we don't have rebuilding because we were gone when it
Oh, okay.
was
Well,
moved.
I helped finish it on the inside. Done the wiring.
Yeah, it took them a while then.
Yeah, but it was rebuilt, I think, by the time we got
Still
back.
set back up.
We have, and I need to get a copy of those to Jen, but we have copies of Ruth Knoblaugh's slides from
Okay.
when it was rebuilt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was out there. In fact, I took the first windows out, the thing out there. I know she got a picture of that.
Yeah.
And then we got it
Here
up
we
here
go.
and set up, and then I wired the whole thing. Had to string wires in between all those logs.
Okay, there's one before we started. Here they start taking off the,
I would like to put that one in front of the camera because most people have never seen a photo of it with siding
yeah,
over the logs.
and here they started taking off the siding.
Mhm.
And they're tearing, there was a lean-to on the back and they're taking that off of there. And here they're down to the bare logs before they moved it. Okay.
And I'll show that one too, if you don't mind.
Okay. They're here.
The house the log cabin as it sat before they started taking the siding off. And here you can see where the logs are starting to appear. Someone must have known that this was log underneath.
Well, how I was told,
think
now I
maybe
don't
Maddie
know
might have
how
said-
right it was, but Mildred Moxick owned the place. I mean,
Oh,
this
sure.
this I don't know if this was her folks' house before.
No, Barbara Moxick told me they lived next door,
Yes,
and when Maddie passed, they bought the house and property.
Okay, that's the way it
Oh,
was. Okay.
okay. But anyway, somebody, they told me that somebody wanted to move it. And they went in and started tearing it apart and found out that way that it was a log house.
Okay.
Barbara probably told you that.
I don't know.
I don't recall that part of it. I do remember her saying someone wanted to buy it and then change their mind, but I didn't have any
That's
detail.
probably
the
on that,
deal.
yeah.
And we kind of surmised that Maddie and her brother were a little eccentric, you know, and they kind of thought that probably there was buried treasure, you know. That's where they hid their money under the mattress or under a piece of flooring or something, you know, and or in a wall someplace. And I think they figured there might be treasure there, and I don't think there was.
So when you went in to take it apart, was it in pretty good shape or was it kind of torn up?
No, it wasn't
It was in
that
pretty
bad.
good. Okay, good.
Uh,
Good enough that you could. Was it numbered, lettered, something so that you could
well,
put it back together?
Yeah.
They had number each log.
They numbered each.
On the
on
end of each
end,
log, they put a number.
so that they could match it back up.
We went over to Sauter Village and talked to Mr. Sauter about how they moved a log house like that. And he said they would they'd take off everything down to like this. This is,
And how
Oh,
many
about-
days did it take you to get it down?
well, the Corps of Engineers moved it, and they thought maybe they could just pick it up and take it that way, but it started to collapse. And so they had to just load it on a trailer or something and bring
The
it up
elevator had a
and then
building they
restock it.
gave to them that they were supposed to use to put with it. Well, they come over and sawed it. It was a long building along the street out there.
The old
And
freight
they,
house.
they sawed it in two,
Oh, really?
and the same person that dumped the logs there got under that building and dumped it all in the street, and they had to get it out and burn it up.
Wow.
That'd have been a nice storage building to put on that lot besides.
They didn't think they could get the log house past the freight building? Is that why it was
No,
sorted
they
down?
wanted to move the freight
They
building
moved the freight
over onto
building on their lot.
onto
too.
the Historical Society property.
Okay, I got you.
So I don't know who owned, did the elevator own
Yeah,
that
yeah, they gave it to
lot,
them.
Okay.
property before?
That's a good picture of the
don't know if you
now,
want-
is that
that's-
taking it down still?
That's as it stood
As it's
before it was taken down.
Okay, all right. That's a very good picture of that.
Yeah, if you wanna find out about putting the lumps together, Jim Crum now done
Okay.
all the numbering and stuff, so. I think he can give you all the details.
What was in here? I forgot already. Oh, this is the last passenger
Yes, on the
Right.
railroad, yes.
on the old New York Central Railroad. Paul Hire owned that
Handcart.
hand car, and he took the Historical Society members out for a ride on Sunday afternoon, and by the next day the
Rails were all gone.
the rails were gone.
Is there a picture of either one of you in the handcar?
Well, that's me. And I think is that you, Leyland?
We were on it.
Well, let's show that one.
Is that you?
I don't think so. That's some lady.
No.
And this was at the same time as the last train went through, or
It went through
No,
the day or so,
no.
a few days before.
The
But
train
approximately
the
the
train
same.
had
And
gone.
they were starting
maybe-
to take up the tracks.
Sure. Okay.
So he ran the line to the tracks.
Was the last
Okay.
train maybe 1974 or 76, and this was in 81.
oh,
They
okay.
didn't get
So they're
around to taking up the tracks right away.
sure.
Well, we got grain in on the cars there for a while.
Yeah. Well, actually, the last passenger train was the Bicentennial.
Okay.
They no longer had regular passenger service here in 1951, but Milan Wainwright and Carl Stange and I don't know, a bunch of guys. They lived in Toledo at that time, but they were Elmore people, and they somehow got together a train, and they ran the train out here and back to Toledo, and all the people in their old clothes went on the trip to Toledo. And at that time, the new station was just. Well, it was brand new, and people gawked at everybody. They said coming in with all these old clothes on, and so many people all at once. I don't know how many. I have no idea how many people went. 100.
Did
or
it
more.
stop anywhere between here and Toledo?
No, it just went from here
okay.
to Toledo and came back.
Okay.
Like I said, I got the slides of it. Yeah, that was some more of the old car. They're going under the turnpike underpass.
If you want train pictures, you can never get a hold of Bernard House's collection. He took, I swear, every train that ever come in here.
Really?
He'd be down there. He knew it was coming, and he'd be taking pictures.
That'd be great.
Yeah, there's that same picture. I'll bet that was Jerry Harr that had his head down. We couldn't tell who it was. These are some others. This was taken, different ones. Jane Wasitsky was on there. Rubenstein, Leyland. There's a picture of the crowd watching. And this is the fire department and the EMS. You probably got a picture of that. That was at the groundbreaking service.
Right.
So. Well, that was Jack Jones, the architect.
For the firehouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Township trustees, and
I think
Tom Crozier was a
still the
contractor,
Towns guy.
and Jack Jones is architect, and Dave Rubenstein, he was a township clerk. Different ones shoveled dirt.
Well, are there any other events that you specifically would like to? Are these pictures something special, or are they just?
This is The Lions Club pouring a cement slab out back of the Will Park shelter house.
Okay, sure. What's under roof now?
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted that or any of those or not.
You say it was Lions Club?
Yeah. They donated the work
Material too.
and the material, whatever. And it does say in the back,
The names.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that Les Willie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leyland, Pat Floro, Jim
Yeah.
Klickman, and Bud Blousy. And the second says pretty much the same. Pat Florio, Les Willie, and Leland, and with Leland
With a hose.
with a hose. Okay. Those go in that. Oh no, they don't. They go in this.
Yeah. I don't know what was in there. I don't guess we got anything out of there. I don't know if anything specific or not. You'll have too many tapes to run. I got stories hours long that you can tell.
Like stories about what?
Good thing she left all her slides at home.
Oh, remember when they moved the house over here on off of Will Moxick's place? Will Moxick lived next to the waterworks there.
Okay.
They moved that house and Jeremy house the same day.
And went out in the
Here
country.
they are, they're going out past the elevator and down the railroad right away and down 51, and they moved them out on County Road, was it 67, 66, 67?
Okay.
Bucks,
Kenny Buck.
Kenny Buck and
got it
his
all out
son
there.
Mark.
Wow.
Mark
There was
took
3
them over there and
houses they
fixed
moved
them
in
up.
all in one day.
Yeah, and Schleverts, that old house of Schleverts, they moved that and,
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
yeah. Well, they had to take down all the wires,
Yeah.
and so when the wires was down, that was the time to do it.
Sure.
Mark Buck is still doing house moving.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real cheap these days.
Here they go. That's the back of the Methodist church here, and they're coming across the empty lot there. Here
Just
they're
up
going
on the-
past Lindmore. That's the old elevator there. Here they're going down the railroad right away past the
Elevator.
elevator. Yeah, there's the log house. They went out and across.
That
The
one's
field.
pretty interesting. Let me show that one because it shows more than one thing. It shows the elevator, it shows the log house, and the house being moved. And this is 1991 October. And this is Jeremy House?
Yes,
Yeah.
Fred Jeremy house.
That's the empty lot next to the Methodist church now.
Okay.
Yeah, and then maybe you want this one too. This is the house. That was a Jeremy house.
Okay, it should get a good shot of the elevator too.
Yeah.
So they ran them down what would have been the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still say the railroad tracks for want of a better word.
Yeah, well, that's what was there.
A few nice trees got taken down as they went.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to cover before
Well,
we...
there's Tom Hendricks. When he came back and spoke at the auditorium. And what's this? Oh, that's...
Tall ships.
Yeah, I think that one's the Niagara over at Putin Bay. That was the old ship I took to Alaska in 1947. It was a converted war ship.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ohio Farmer had a trip. There was 100 people. They made staterooms and out of an old warship.
And during the war, they used a lot of converted passenger ships.
Yeah, yeah,
That's kind of funny. It went both ways.
yeah. So, I don't know. Anything else you can think of?
Well,
You want to ask about something I might know?
gosh. I can't think of anything specific. I just, would like to interject the fact that the Dan Schroeder store was a part of the life of Elmore for a long time. Did you specify how many years it actually was?
Well, it was started in 1861 up on Route 20 and went out of business in 1993.
So 100 and some years.
129 years, I think,
Yeah.
we can it's in business.
So the businesses so far, in the information that I've gathered, the businesses who invested in Elmore stayed in Elmore.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you both for what you've told us here today.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for coming and sharing with us.